Well, cryptocurrency power use is facing increasing scrutiny, particularly in China, which is home to around 3/4 now of the world's Bitcoin mining capacity. Chinese authorities are said to be planning to limit electricity use by these Bitcoin miners, who are starting to look elsewhere now. Bloomberg New Energy Finance head of China research, Sophie Liu, is in Beijing. We thought it was going to be electric cars sucking up all this electricity. It's actually these Bitcoin miners. So how much power do they actually consume?
We estimate that the amount of electricity that's being consumed in China for Bitcoin mining is actually quite minimal. China is the largest power market in the world, so you have to keep that in mind. But in terms of the amount of total consumption, it looks like it's only about 0.2% of the total power that China consumed last year.
Okay, so but I mean, it might be relatively still, small in a sense, but why is there so much mining, Bitcoin mining concentrated in China?
The simple reason is because power prices are extremely cheap. So there's a lot of cheap large-scale hydro and a lot of cheap coal power in China. But then the other major reason is that since essentially the beginning of 2015, for the last 2 or 3 years, China's power sector has been going through a significant period of deregulation. This is good for the power sector as it's going through sort of streamlining and reforms. But on the sidelines, there are different industries like Bitcoin mining that are taking advantage of deregulated power prices and a lack of enforcement at local areas, therefore taking advantage of the reforms to be able to obtain much cheaper electricity than they normally would be able to.
Right, so very cheap and also very profitable right now with where Bitcoin prices are. I mean, where do the price needs to be for Bitcoin in order for these miners to stay profitable?
According to our analysis, it ranges depending on the electricity tariff as well as the efficiency of the the mining rigs that you assume the facility may be using. But we estimate basically ranging between $4,000 to $7,000 for Bitcoin is the marginal cost at which Bitcoin mining is still profitable in China. That, of course, does not account for all costs. This is more of short-term running costs in terms of being able to recur back the cost of electricity, right?
And you were talking about regulation earlier, Sophie. So could banning Bitcoin mining, would that be the end of Bitcoin as a whole?
It would be a significant setback. China, the reason why Bitcoin mining has been so successful in this country is because of a combination of the cheap electricity and also the sheer scale at which there's a very sort of short supply chain access to miner rigs and to all of the other sort of computer hardware and things that go into these mining facilities. In order for them to relocate to other countries, you will lose those sort of efficiencies of scale, even if you do find other countries that have relatively lax power markets in terms of regulations and still very cheap prices. So it would be, but the costs of relocation are not extremely high. And many of the mining hardware that we see nowadays, they have extremely short lifespans, less than 2 years. So we estimate that if many of the mining facilities in China, if they had started in 2016, by mid-2018, they are actually already reaching the end of their lifetime. So in terms of them having to relocate, it's maybe this is right about the time that they need to be considering more stable markets anyways.